I remember sitting across the table from my boss during an annual review. I had doubled the output of my department, and I had coached new hires, and I had led three major initiatives. And yet, when it came time to ask for a raise, I hesitated. I smiled and I nodded and I left without saying a word. I told myself next time. But that moment stayed with me. Maybe you've had a moment like that. That moment where your gut told you to speak up, but the words got caught in your throat. Where your accomplishments were right there, but your voice didn't join them. If you've ever felt that pit in your stomach, where you knew you deserved more, but you just didn't ask, well, this session's for you. Welcome to training number 8 in our Women's Leadership Series, Self-Advocacy, Asking for What You Deserve. By the end of this session, you'll walk away with more than just insight. You'll walk away with tools, language, and clarity to help you speak up with confidence and advocate for your worth. Here's what we'll cover. First, why self-advocacy is a critical leadership skill. You'll learn how advocating for yourself isn't selfish, it's strategic. It models courage, reinforces your credibility, and creates space for others to do the same. Second, how to contribute your value and clarity with confidence. We'll break down how to talk about your impact, not just what you do, but how it drives results. You'll learn how to reframe your narrative from humble contributor to intentional leader. And third, the art of asking without apology. Whether it's a raise, a promotion, a stretch assignment, or a boundary, you'll learn how to structure your ask. We'll learn how to navigate tough conversations and push through the discomfort. Fourth, we'll go through real-world strategies from women leaders who've done it. You'll hear how others turned hesitation into action and how male allies have supported a culture where self-advocacy is expected, not penalized. Finally, you'll get to own your next step. You'll leave with a clear personalized action plan because knowing your value is one thing. Asking for what you deserve is the leadership move. When was the time you didn't speak up for yourself? Let's begin with a moment of reflection. Think back to a time, recent or long ago, when you didn't advocate for yourself. Maybe it was during a performance review or when you were asked to take on more recognition or support. Maybe you knew what you wanted to say, but you held it in. Maybe you weren't sure how to say it. What stopped you? Was it fear of being labeled? Fear of conflict? Fear of seeming difficult or ungrateful or maybe too much? Now take a breath. That moment doesn't define you, but it can teach you. Today's training is about rewriting that moment. It's about learning how to speak up with clarity, confidence, and grace. Because self-advocacy isn't selfish, it's leadership. Let's begin with a grounding truth. You're not difficult for having needs. You are not arrogant for knowing your value. And you are not selfish for asking for what you've earned. That's self-advocacy, plain and simple. Self-advocacy is the ability to clearly articulate your needs, your worth, and your aspirations without shrinking, softening, or seeking permission. It's saying, this matters to me. I've contributed. I'm ready for the next step. Yet, for far too many women, especially in male-dominated environments or cultures shaped by unspoken gender expectations, this kind of advocacy can feel risky. Studies have shown that women negotiate salaries 30% less often than men. And when women do negotiate, they're more likely to be penalized, labeled as demanding, aggressive, or not a team player. Why does this happen? Because for generations, women have been socialized to wait. Wait to be noticed. Wait to be promoted. Wait to be invited. But leadership doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who are willing to speak up, to take initiative, and yes, advocate for themselves. Self-advocacy isn't just a professional development skill. It's a leadership move. When you speak up for yourself, you signal something powerful, that it's safe to ask. Your courage gives others permission to do the same. You normalize boundaries. You set a precedent for clarity. And you model what it looks like to lead for yourself, which is the foundation for leading others. Whether you're requesting a raise, pitching a new idea, asking for flexibility, or setting a boundary around your time, you're showing others how to treat you, how to value your work, and how to listen. Let's take a moment to reflect. Think of a time when you stayed silent, when you wanted to speak up, but you didn't. What held you back? Was it fear of being judged? Worry about being seen as ungrateful? Or did you question whether your ask was even valid? Let's talk about something that doesn't always get named, but always shows up in nearly every room where women are stepping into leadership. It's called the gratitude trap, and it sounds like this: I'm just thankful to have this job, or I don't want to rock the boat. I shouldn't ask for more when others have less. I'm lucky to be here. Now let's be clear. Gratitude is a powerful, beautiful mindset. It keeps us grounded. It builds resilience. It reminds us to notice what's working. But gratitude becomes a trap when it replaces self-worth, because you didn't get here by luck. You didn't just stumble into your achievements. You worked for them. You showed up. You added value, and you're not done. So let's reframe that narrative. Instead of saying, I'm lucky to be here, try this: I've earned my place and I'm still growing. That subtle shift changes everything. It positions you not as someone quietly holding onto a seat, but as someone who owns her presence, her contributions, and her potential. Let's dismantle another few myths while we're at it. Confidence is not arrogance, and boundaries are not disrespect. Self-advocacy is not entitlement. You can be direct and kind. You can be assertive and respectful. You can advocate for your needs and still be a team player. Because when you show up with clarity about your worth, you're not just lifting yourself, you're elevating the standard for everyone around you. Let's take a moment to tune in. What internal messages might be holding you back from advocating for yourself? Is it the idea that asking makes you seem ungrateful? Is it fear that you'll be seen as difficult? Is it an old belief that you have to prove yourself 10 times over just to be worthy? Let's talk about the art of negotiation. Salary, promotions, projects, time. Because now that we've explored mindset and meaning, it's important to talk about the mechanics of advocacy. Because knowing your worth is one thing, but being able to communicate it with clarity and confidence is where the transformation happens. Whether you're asking for a raise, requesting a promotion, proposing a project, or protecting your time, negotiation is leadership in action. It's not about being aggressive or transactional. It's about alignment between your value, your voice, and your goals. Here's a simple rule of 3 to guide you through the art of the ask. Rule number 1, prepare your ask. Before any conversation, do your homework. Preparation builds confidence. Know your market value. You can use sites like Glassdoor, PayScale, industry salary surveys, and internal benchmarks when they're available. Talk to trusted peers because knowledge is power. Align your contributions with business impact. Think, how have I made things better, faster, more efficient, more profitable, more positive? What goals have I helped my team or organization achieve? Here's a tip: keep a brag file or an impact journal so you can refer back to your tangible wins. Rule number 2, state your value with clarity. You don't have to prove your worth. You just need to articulate it clearly. Use impact language. For example, as a result of X, I delivered Y. Or my initiative reduced processing time by 18%. I led a cross-functional team to complete a project 3 weeks ahead of schedule. And I want to avoid softening my voice. Eliminate phrases like, I just wanted to, I think maybe, sorry, but. These minimize your presence. Replace them with direct, respectful phrasing that centers your contribution. Rule number 3, navigate the conversation. Now it's time to actually make the ask, and our goal to be clear, concise, and confident. We're going to use phrases like, based on my contributions over the past 12 months, I'd like to discuss a compensation adjustment. Or I'd like to be considered for the team lead role in Q3 because I've successfully delivered on X, Y, and Z. Or how about I've consistently delivered high impact work. I'd like to explore opportunities for advancement that reflect that. Practice is going to be essential here, so script it out. Say it out loud in front of a mirror. Role play with a trusted peer or mentor. Record yourself to refine your delivery. Remember, the first time you speak up will feel really uncomfortable. That's normal. Discomfort is a sign of growth, not a reason to stop. Before we move on, I want to make sure that you have a tool to help you put all of this into action, not just in theory, but in real conversations that impact your career. So I've created a self-advocacy script builder just for you, and you can download that. This tool walks you through a step-by-step process to prepare and deliver your ask, whether you're requesting a raise, a promotion, more flexibility, or even just clearer boundaries around your time. This is going to include guided prompts, example language, and a space to write down your personalized advocacy script for a salary increase, promotion, or stretch opportunity ask, a schedule change, or a request for a workload balance. So this helps you so that you're not caught off guard or wondering how to say what you need to say. You can download this at my website, drjolenechurch.com/action, and revisit this document anytime you're preparing for an important conversation. Think of it as your confidence companion. Let's not just talk about self-advocacy, let's actually practice it. So I'd like to walk you through the self-advocacy script builder, and this is going to help you write your first real self-advocacy script right now. The first step is to clarify what you're asking for. What's the one thing that you want to advocate for right now in your real work life? Is it a raise? A promotion? More flexibility? Clarity on your role? Don't overthink it. Just pick one and write it down. That's your ask. Second, you're going to identify your contribution. What have you done that adds value, especially in the last 6 to 12 months? Think outcomes. Here's an example. You led a project that launched early, or you improved onboarding, saving the team 5 hours a week. Jot down 1 or 2 of your wins. In the third step, you're going to link this to the business or to a team goal. So why does this matter? That's the question you're going to be asking yourself. Maybe your contribution increased revenue or improved morale. Maybe it reduced risk or saved time. You're going to fill that in the business alignment statement. Our fourth step is craft the ask. Now you can use one of the templates provided or you can use your own. And we're going to put it all together into one clear, confident ask. For example, based on my contributions over the last year, specifically, and you're going to insert your contribution there, I'd like to discuss a compensation adjustment. So once you do this, you're going to take a few moments and you're going to reflect on this and you're going to write that out. That's going to be your self-advocacy script. But we're not done yet. There's going to be one more step. And this is really the hardest and the most important part, saying it out loud. You've got to read your statement to yourself in the mirror out loud. Hey, right now, if you're brave enough. Let your voice hear what it sounds like when you state your own worth. Now that we've explored how to structure a negotiation and advocate for yourself, I want to give you a chance to practice something that's incredibly powerful: owning your impact. So I've created a second downloadable. It's a value statement activity worksheet. And this is going to guide you through crafting your own personalized value statement. If the script builder is about what you're asking for, the value statement worksheet is about who you are as a leader. It helps you distill your contributions into one clear, bold value statement. And that's something that you can carry with you for every performance review, every promotion pitch, every resume refresh, or anytime you have a confidence wobble. This worksheet will walk you through step by step, identifying your key contributions, turning them into impact language, and pulling it all together into a clear, confident statement. This is your story of value, and you need to be able to tell it. Whether you're preparing for a performance review, a promotion conversation, or even updating your LinkedIn profile, this value statement is something you can come back to again and again. So there are going to be several steps here. Step one is going to be to identify 3 key contributions. So we're going to start by identifying 3 things that you've done that made a real difference. These don't need to be massive, they just need to be meaningful. Think about the past 6 to 12 months. Where have you created value for your team, your organization, or your clients? An example might be that you improved a process, or you mentored someone. Maybe you helped prevent a problem, or you created clarity where there was confusion. You led a successful project. You're going to write these 3 things down. Be very specific. Then in step 2, you're going to turn each of these into an impact statement. So let's take one of those contributions and describe it using what I call impact language. So use this formula. As a result of, and then you say what you did, and then what happened or how it was improved. So here's the example. As a result of redesigning our intake process, we reduced client wait times by 25%. Or as a result of mentoring 2 new hires, our onboarding time was cut in half. So you're going to take several minutes to turn these into these impact statements. Take your contributions and create the impact. Now, step 3, you're going to craft your full value statement. We're going to bring this all together. Think of it like your leadership elevator pitch. You're communicating not just what you do, but the value you create. So here's a simple template that you can use. I've consistently added value by doing X, which led to the outcome Y, and I'd like to continue growing by, and then your desired direction or opportunity. You can create your own version, just keep it grounded in confidence and clarity. Avoid using softeners like just or I think, because you've earned this. And then of course we have that final step, and it's the one that's going to change everything. Say it out loud, even if it feels awkward, even if no one's listening. Say your value statement out loud and get used to hearing your voice affirm your own impact. This isn't just an exercise, it's a declaration. Your value statement is a reflection of who you are as a leader and the difference you make. And when you speak it, not just write it, you begin showing up as someone who leads from worth, not from waiting. So keep refining this, keep practicing it. Use it in your next review, your next bio, your next big ask. But most importantly, believe it. It's time for our female leader spotlight with Bazoma St. John. She's the former chief marketing officer of Uber, and her brand exudes owning your value without apology. If there's one leader who has refused to shrink in order to fit in, it's Bazoma St. John. She's a marketing powerhouse whose career has spanned Uber, Apple Music, PepsiCo, Netflix, and Endeavor. But Zoma didn't wait for opportunities to show up tied in a bow. She went after them on her terms. She is known not just for her bold leadership and dynamic presence, but for the way she consistently owned her identity, her voice, and her value, especially in industries and executive rooms where she often stood out as the only. Her words say it best. I've had to advocate for myself from the beginning. If you wait to be invited, you'll wait forever. That philosophy guided her when she was in conversations with Apple. Bazoma didn't simply accept the terms offered. She asked for what she needed to thrive, not just survive. That included the flexibility to bring her full self into the work, the resources to lead with impact, and the visibility to influence culture from the inside out. She didn't water down her voice or assimilate to fit expectations. She made it clear, this is who I am. Here's what I bring, and here's what I need in return. What makes Bazoma's self-advocacy powerful isn't just her confidence, it's her clarity. She knows her value, she communicates it, and she aligns her career choices with it, no matter how big the brand name is on the door. Why does this matter to us? Because Bazoma reminds us that self-advocacy isn't just about getting more, it's about being more fully you. And when you lead with that level of unapologetic clarity, you don't just elevate your own path, you change the room you're in. So let me ask you, what stood out to you about Bazoma's approach to advocating for herself? How might you apply this mindset to your next opportunity or conversation? Now it's time for our male ally perspective with Alan Mulally. He's known for creating cultures where self-advocacy is not just allowed, it's expected. Now, when Alan Mulally stepped in as CEO of Ford Motor Company in 2006, the company was in deep crisis. Financial losses were staggering, morale was low, and silos dominated communication. Ford was the kind of place where people did not speak up, especially not to senior leadership. In one of his very first leadership meetings, Mulally asked each executive to color code their status reports green for on track, yellow for caution, and red for off track. Every single report came in green, but the company was losing billions. Clearly, something wasn't adding up. Then one executive had the courage to turn in a red report. He had a major issue with a vehicle launch, and the room fell silent. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Mulally to explode. Instead, Alan calmly said, "Thank you for the visibility. What can we do to help?" That moment changed everything. It signaled a new kind of leadership, one where raising your hand and owning your challenges wasn't punished, but praised. In the years that followed, Mulally created a culture where people at every level were encouraged to speak candidly about their challenges, needs, and wins. This wasn't about productivity, it was about psychological safety. Women leaders inside Ford, especially those in technical and engineering roles, later reflected that this shift allowed them to advocate more for the resources that they needed, propose bold new ideas, and ask for what they needed to thrive without fear of being labeled as difficult or even emotional. Alan Mulally didn't just say he wanted people to speak up. He built the systems, meetings, and mindsets that made advocacy safe and eventually expected. I'd like you to think about your current work environment. Is there psychological safety for you to speak up? If not, what would need to change? I'd also like you to think about this. Allyship isn't just about giving women permission to advocate. It's about normalizing and rewarding that advocacy. How can male leaders do more of that in your organization? Give this some thought. and jot these ideas down. Let's take a global perspective and look at negotiation and advocacy around the world, what it looks like. Self-advocacy doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it's deeply shaped by the cultural norms, values, and expectations we grow up with, and by the environments we work in today. Let's take a look at how self-advocacy and negotiation show up in different regions around the world. In our Nordic countries, such as Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, these countries are often praised for their strong gender equity policies and transparent salary structures. In many Nordic workplaces, pay scales are public, and there are national mandates for parental leave and gender representation. Still, cultural values like egalitarianism and collectivism can make direct self-promotion or assertive negotiation feel uncomfortable, even frowned upon. Speaking up for yourself must often be framed in terms of the team's benefit or organizational harmony. So even in progressive systems, social humility can make self-advocacy feel awkward unless tied to the greater good. In Japan, business culture, hierarchy, harmony, and respect for authority are central. As a result, direct negotiation, especially from junior employees or women, can be considered inappropriate or even disrespectful. Women in particular may feel pressure to communicate needs indirectly or passively, relying on supervisors to notice and advocate on their behalf. However, new movements and rising female leaders in Japan are beginning to challenge these norms, advocating for more inclusive leadership pathways and encouraging younger women to find their voices. Advocacy in Japan often happens through relationships, not confrontation, and cultural change is unfolding slowly but steadily. In contrast, US culture tends to reward directness, ambition, and individual success. Negotiation is often seen as a part of the leadership track. In theory, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yet studies continue to show that when women negotiate assertively in the US, they are more likely than men to be labeled demanding, unlikable, or disruptive, especially women of color. This creates a bind. You're expected to ask, but judged when you do. So our insight here is that advocacy is encouraged, but gender bias often shapes how it's received. Skillful framing and allyship can help shift this narrative. Let's take a moment to reflect. What cultural values at home, in school, or at work have shaped your view of speaking up for yourself? Have you been taught that asking is bold, disrespectful, brave, selfish, normal? How might those beliefs still influence you today? Throughout this training, I've exposed you to the inner work that needs to be done. I've given you tools to draw out your values, to be able to articulate what it is you need, you desire to thrive. So now it's time to put into action, into practice, what we've learned. Because self-advocacy isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about choosing this moment, right here, right now, to speak up for what you need, what you deserve, and what you've earned. Because here's the truth. If you don't advocate for yourself, you're asking someone else to decide your value. So let's change that starting today. So the first thing I'm going to have you do, this is your challenge, choose one area to advocate. Think about your current role, your goals, your boundaries, or your growth. Where do you need to speak up this month? Is it a conversation around compensation that you've been putting off? Is it asking for visibility on a project you are a part of? Is it setting a boundary that protects your well-being? Is it requesting professional development or mentorship? Whatever it is, write it down. Name it. It's going to look something like this. one area I need to advocate for myself this month is. So you're going to craft your message using a 3-part formula. Use this simple structure to build your message. The first one is context. What's the situation or the background? Here's the example. Over the past 6 months, I've taken on additional responsibilities. That's the context. Second part is going to be the impact. What results or outcomes have you created? So over the past 6 months, I've taken on additional responsibilities, which led to improved turnaround time by 18% and higher client satisfaction scores. And then our third part is going to be the clear ask. What exactly are you requesting? I'd like to discuss aligning my compensation with these new responsibilities. So again, that's going to look like over the past 6 months, I've taken on additional responsibilities, which led to improved turnaround times by 18% and higher client satisfaction scores. I'd like to discuss aligning my compensation with these new responsibilities. So I'd like you to take about 5 minutes here to draft your message. Then you're going to say it out loud, right? You're going to refine it and you're going to own it. Don't skip this step. Pause the video. What do you need? As we wrap up, I want to ask you this. What is one area in which you need to advocate for yourself? And what's the first step that you'll take to move forward? Let's take our reflection just a bit deeper. How would your career shift if you consistently asked for what you deserve? How would your confidence grow? How might others start treating you differently? What new doors might open? Look, you don't have to be fearless to speak up. You just have to be willing to start. Self-advocacy is a leadership skill, not a personality trait. It's something you can build, practice, and master regardless of your communication style. Your value must be communicated, not assumed. Silence leaves room for misinterpretation. Clarity leads to recognition, respect, and reward. You can advocate with confidence, grace, and clarity and inspire others to do the same. When you speak up for yourself, you model what courageous leadership looks like for others. I want to take a moment to thank you for joining me in this important conversation on self-advocacy, asking for what you deserve, because your voice matters. Your value deserves to be heard, and your leadership journey is one that we're proud to support. If this training resonated with you, there are a few simple ways that you can help us amplify this movement and support other women leaders on their path. First is to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dr. Jolene Church. This will help you access future trainings, leadership tips, and behind-the-scenes conversations, and make sure that you don't miss a future episode. Second, you can invite a friend or colleague to subscribe as well, because the more we rise together, the greater the impact we can make. The more subscribers we have, the higher the algorithm, and more people will see this work. If you're ready for a deeper connection, then we'd love to support you by you joining one of our LinkedIn communities. We have the open group, that's the Women's Leadership Support Network. This is open to all genders committed to advancing women in leadership. Everyone's welcome, men and women. Now, there's the Inner Circle. This is a private women-only LinkedIn group designed for real talk, mutual support, and deeper connection. Whether you're just starting to find your voice or you're ready to mentor others along the way, there's a place for you here. So keep showing up, keep speaking up, and keep reminding the world what's possible when women lead boldly, clearly, and unapologetically. I'll see you in the next training. We are just getting started.